All right, it's 1:30. We'll call the Cumberland County Finance meeting to order and we'll begin with a roll call.
Commissioner Niebuhr.
Here.
Commissioner Fashi.
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Present.
All right, is there any public comment? Desiree, do you see anyone online for public comment? Anyone in the room that would like to make public comment at this time? Nope. We'll move on into the approval of the minutes from the March meeting, March 20.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
That's been moved and approved. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have one topic of discussion today, and it is Penn State Agriculture Extension. And Donna Scherer is here to talk with us, but it looks like we have some guests.
Yes, for our first quarterly impact, I thought, especially since you're new to the commissioner role, it would be good for me to bring some of our educators along so you can hear their impacts directly from them and to ask them questions. And then with the new in the news, you've probably heard about avian influenza and how that's affecting dairy. I have an educator here, Samantha, who is our dairy educator, so you can be up to date and know what's happening right now and ask her as many questions as you would like.
Okay.
But
sounds good.
Hopefully I'll know the answer.
I'm gonna ponder some really hard ones.
So, and thank you. Without your support, we would not be able to do any of this programming. So that's the importance of us coming here and giving you the impact so you can see the value for your investment. And I'll just start with our website hits on our psu.edu website from just Cumberland County residents in 2023 was 55,917 folks who came on to either find information or to sign up for a webinar or do an online training class. So that's very significant. The top topics this quarter for that website are health and wellness and pesticide education. Because lots of our producers right now, they need to make sure that their PDA credits are all current, and our agronomy team has been teaching pesticide education across the state. So those are the two top topics for Cumberland County. Just this first quarter, we've had 124 people come to workshops in person. Our most popular one is LIFT, which is a lifelong fitness workshop. And I have Nancy Roosh, who runs that workshop, to talk more about that. The next highest attendance was gardening with nature. And I have Ellie Stewart, our master gardener coordinator, to talk more about that. And then the next one was Safe Drinking Water Clinic, and that was for Dickinson Township. And Andy Yensha, he's currently getting ready to do a webinar, I believe, at 2 o'clock today for more water quality issues. But he said he is keeping current here with folks in Cumberland County because there have been a lot of folks that want to have their wells tested. We've also had folks that want to go online and be able to take a class in their jammies or at any time. We've had 653 people from Cumberland County take workshops just this quarter, webinars. The top topics are why pollinators matter and municipal stormwater management. So a lot of your folks in municipal water are going home after work and taking those webinars. We also had 26 folks who are not affiliated with Cumberland County, but are educators with Penn State and are what Annie and I call our deep bench of folks that have done visits to Cumberland County and have reached 595 residents with their programming. And that's either a one-on-one, come to the farm, come to the market, give a talk, or have a small class. And that's just the in-person visits for that. So I'm going to introduce you to Ellie Stewart, our Master Gardener Program Coordinator, and Miranda Harple, our Marketing and Business Development Educator. They're going to come talk first. Then Nancy Roosh, our food, families, and communities educator, and Amy Santorelli, our nutrition education advisor. And then we'll round it out with Samantha Garrett, our dairy educator, and she'll talk about HPAI and the dairy cattle.
Great.
So-
Thanks, Donna.
Hey.
Hi, ladies.
Hello. Thank you for having us. I'll kick stuff off. I am Miranda Harple. I'm an education specialist working in business and marketing. So I work with farms who want to do value-added food products and also farmers markets. For example, we just wrapped up a farmer market manager conference, which brings together farm market managers from across the state. And we serve a really pivotal role in disseminating up-to-date information from PDA, but also making sure that farm market managers have resources and are providing sort of questions and also getting feedback from their peers. So that network is really strong, and we're excited to continue strengthening our market managers, one of which is right outside of here, starting I think at 3. Was it 2 or 3?
Start unloading them.
Yeah, they're already set out there.
Yeah.
Another project that I really wanted to talk about and bring to the table for you all to know today is a project called the BEAD Broadband Mapping Project. If you're familiar with BEAD, that is funding. It stands for the Broadband Equity Access Deployment. Is part of a big pot of money coming to Pennsylvania for getting more access to broadband in our state. We just finished up a little video series that helps people to understand a map that was developed by my colleagues, and that's a GIS map that is available for anybody. So it's especially relevant to you. It's also relevant to internet service providers. And what you can do is access the map and start to understand for your area who's underserved or unserved when it comes to broadband serviceable locations. So I looked up just this morning before I came here, the county, and I could see just by clicking on a couple of things that there's around 5,000 houses that are unserved or underserved in this county. So it's really great to have those numbers as talking points for you all when you're going out to talk on this topic. I am not the broadband expert. I play a small role in this team, but it's some really amazing work that Extension is doing that I think serves you for the work that you do. You have questions about broadband?
Actually, I do.
Okay,
We've had some discussion on this board regarding
sure.
what's our role, broadband rollout and all of that. And there was a time, of course, when there was some competition and there was monopoly. Is what led to so many people being underserved or unserved. So, and that's changing a lot. So, but specific to you folks, for instance, I saw the news blurb thing not too long ago. They're talking about farmers using broadband for actually like bringing internet into the cab of the tractor as it's plowing. And apparently they think at some point these are going to operate autonomously via broadband. Now, most of that is coming through satellite broadband, which is going through a massive expansion right now. And in some areas, like I have trees all around where I live, so satellite wouldn't work. But the open areas and most of the western part of the county seems like it would be conducive to that. So I just want to know if is that part of the planning and discussion that's going on, and is satellite folded into that at all? We have one staff member here who literally has Starlink in an area where about a year ago they didn't have internet, and of course that's rolling out. Piper's rolling out. So the reason I ask is because we have these enormous amounts of public dollars going into broadband. At the same time, the marketplace is addressing it as well, and a lot of us don't like to see them going head to head in something that the market's going to take care of it. That public dollars can go for other things. Can you address any of that or tell us where you think that might be going? That's kind of a detailed question. I know you're not the expert.
I'm not the expert, but it's really funny you bring up that point because I have a similar lived experience. So I live on a small apple orchard just over the county line in Adams County, and parts of our orchard we can receive service in the tractor and other parts we can't. This is a very small relatively small piece of land. And we also did not have high-speed internet when we moved there, and we are Starlink customers.
Starlink.
So it's also my experience of relying on satellite internet personally. But I have seen and heard that conversations are revolving around this. I believe the way the contracts run, they're moving towards ISPs, specifically internet service providers, and therefore the kinds of services that they offer are a result of what those businesses are doing. I know that whenever we talk about availability, we always do present that there are several different kinds of access you can get, but that it is an interesting time to be investing in broadband infrastructure in our country.
So if you're counting on broadband to your tract and you don't have satellite, can they still get broadband in some way? I know they're working on cell tower transmission.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a receptor, so it's a cell tower transmission, and then their barns, particularly with high silos, end up getting contacted for locating receptors so that those transmitters can then bounce off of the barn and get to the whole farm.
So it sounds like
there are ways in which people are approaching that.
Sounds like the coverage issue is being addressed very.
It's definitely a concern. It's part of my lived experience. It's also a concern for many farms, especially when you're talking about what you're talking about with autonomous tractors. I think it's a little bit down the line, but that is exactly why we're interested in this type of topic, because we're looking at the future of technology in ag and knowing that we'll need connectivity in places where a lot of PA farmers don't have it.
So even in we used to call it manned, now you got to call it crude. So a crude cab still has a need, even now, not being autonomous, still has a need for that.
Sure. Yeah.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Great question. Yeah.
Miranda, do you know how they're defining underserved?
It's by the speed of internet that they receive. So it's usually less than 1,000 megabits per second.
Okay.
That's what tips the scales.
Okay. Because everyone has I would love to have much faster, and I just wasn't sure where they were drawing the line on what was available.
Yeah, if you have a high provider like Comcast or Verizon, you're probably hitting the speed of other types of providers that are offering to rural communities access, maybe not at the speeds that larger providers can get. And that's because of the fiber cables.
Is there a premium on the amount that, say, an agricultural application, do they need a particular speed, say, as a threshold?
Not that I'm aware of. That's also a good question.
The map that you referenced, is that a Penn State map?
So it's built in GIS. It's accessible to anybody publicly.
From Penn State?
Not from Penn State, from anybody anywhere. And I should have mentioned this map is actually developed. It started with us in Pennsylvania, but through a grant partnership with the Rockefeller Center, the map's actually accessible to everyone in the United States.
So if I Googled it, what would I Google?
I think that Donna can send you the link to the map,
Thanks.
because there's a couple of educational tools. There's a video series that I just helped to get people oriented. And then there's one webinar that I watched where they also sort of do a big look at broadband, and then they do an actual live demo. But I'm hoping that this team can also be offering demos in the future as we're getting people more oriented. I've heard from them that they've also done individual sit downs with county commissioners who are looking for specifically, I'm working with an internet service provider. I want to be able to say something of meaning to them. I need to tell them it's going to cost maybe X dollars to get from 0.7 miles down the road. So these people I can see here don't have access. So the map is really a tool to help you to start to understand cost estimates and just generally where people are in the county without high-speed internet.
Thanks. I would appreciate that link, and I would like to share that with our Western Council of Governments.
That'd be great.
Because that is the area that really and truly is.
That is what I noticed on
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks, Miranda. I wouldn't have expected broadband discussion necessarily with an extension meeting, but I'm so glad you brought it up.
Good afternoon, I'm Ellie Stewart, and I serve as the Consumer Horticulture Educator and Master Gardener Coordinator with Penn State Extension. in Cumberland County. I like to start off with our program mission. And so our Penn State Master Gardeners are trained volunteers who support the outreach mission of Extension by utilizing unbiased, research-based information to educate the public on our communities and our communities on best practices in sustainable horticulture and environmental stewardship. The Penn State Master Gardener program in this county had started in 1988. And so we continue to fill our mission 36 years later to present day with 106 active volunteers. And they currently serve in the following ways. We host public educational programs and attend community events. In partnership with community organizations, we maintain 10 educational demonstration gardening sites that serve as outdoor living classrooms across the county. We offer plant diagnostic services to residents through our weekly garden hotline service based at the Extension office, March through November. And we also offer seasonal plant clinics at the community events we attend and at public libraries such as the Frederickson Library in Camp Hill. And fourth, we focus on volunteer development. So we train county residents to become certified Master Gardener volunteers. We provide advanced continuing education for them, and we focus on volunteer recognition to support their contributions. To capture within the last program year, we provided 71 educational presentations and programs across the county. In addition to that, we also attended 43 community events and offered educational displays and plant clinics at those, for a total of 10,447 volunteer hours within 1 year. We also reached 6,677 contacts. That's just direct contacts, taking out the contacts we get through our website, social media platforms. And in addition to those 10 demonstration gardens, we also partner with 52 community groups or organizations across the county. And last but certainly not least, last year we donated 743 pounds of produce that was harvested out of the youth demonstration gardens located at the Extension office, the Allen Road building at 310 Allen Road. And that was an increase of almost 300 pounds from the prior year. For the first quarter this year, we recognized 3 Master Gardeners who retired from the program and achieved emeritus status. Those were Barb Wilson from Carlisle, Marlene Witten from Carlisle, and Sandra C. Boylan from Camp Hill. So we recognize them for their achievements. Within this first quarter, we've already recorded over 800 volunteer hours, and this is probably the quietest of the 4 quarters of the year. So we certainly look forward to reaching that high 10,000 value this year. And we already recorded 386 consumers reached. In addition to that, we already have answered 80 questions, primarily regarding residential insect, indoor and outdoor questions, and planting and cultural recommendations ahead of this current growing season. Our Master Gardeners are actively involved in the Pennsylvania Farm Show. We had 24 just from this county. And we also publish an annual trial garden report. Those trials gardens are located at the Claremont Nursing and Rehabilitation Center in Carlisle. And we are heading into our 24th year of trialing annuals and being able to provide an annual report then to residents about how those plants weathered within the central Pennsylvania growing conditions, especially as we see changes within our climate. Going forward into this new year, we are excited that we have a new partnership with the Cumberland County Historical Society in the renovation of the downtown garden off of High Street. We are also partnering with the Enola Miller House in East Pennsboro with that renovation project for that property. And we're also increasing literacy by providing book review presentations at the programs provided at public libraries. To round things out, in your folders today, you have a variety of flyers and brochures of our upcoming events, and we invite you and look forward to seeing them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And please thank the volunteers. That's a lot of time and energy. And I happen to drive by the Claremont garden, and I'm always curious as to what they're doing there when I see them working, at least driving by twice a day. So
Yes,
please thank them from us.
There's still a bad house. Is there still a bad house there?
I don't believe so. We've
Okay.
been in the process of taking those down, and also depending on the community partner that owns the property. We've had conversations with them as well.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Can I ask why you take them down? The back houses?
I think it's been a mixture of either maintenance for volunteers versus the facility staff for that particular property, or out of public concerns over or it's mostly the facility staff also relaying concerns about the droppings from those actively used houses. So we can certainly educate on that, but it's not been one of the main topics we have offered in program series at the
It just
demonstration.
seems like the Commonwealth is trying to foster this, to come back and around that because of the way those issues. So
We prefer to actually take back houses. I think it opens up us to the variety of venues we can provide education at versus just at a demonstration garden site, having those installed. So we've actually been able to assemble them as a bit of a kit to further have a more in-person and educational experience when we do offer programs.
this is a question I trying to ask to you, because we had a conversation. I had a conversation recently with Kirkstone, planning. And this came up because the county is due now to look again at its mowing contract. And I seem to ask this question every time that comes up. Can't we mow less? And Kirk had a discussion with me about the native grass garden grant. Is that something you folks are involved with?
I would have to look into that. It is not a grant I am familiar with through extension, so I would need to determine that hosting organization to then determine.
The intent there is mow less, have some wild areas, build habitat, those types of things. And the reason I was asking, I was curious about whether that would have a detrimental effect on the master garden site to have something that is, potentially breeding other spores, seeds, etc. So we have a lot of area out there that's mowed.
Certainly, yes, that particular Allen Road site. The currently mowed areas do serve as a parking area for our nature fundraiser each year, but that is 1 day or 1 week per year. And so the benefits to potentially transfer managing that in a different way, I think would need to come from multiple offices. So for example, master gardeners primarily focus on the residential gardening scale versus a meadow area that would need to be maintained in a different manner. We do have master gardeners, we have master watershed steward volunteers, and we also have a number of organizations such as the Cumberland Valley Rail Trail that have volunteers that are experienced with invasive species management first ahead of planting that as an actively managed meadow area potentially on that site. So I can certainly look into that grant and provide a follow-up to Donna.
I think they're applying for it. I just wanted to know, because there's been a discussion about more wild areas and such. And I look at all that we're spending a lot of money and energy on mowing. It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me.
Okay.
And Kirk did say, if you do that, we're going to have potentially groundhog problems to issue. Well, we're not farming it.
Right.
He did say it could also be a problem with deer, but he volunteered to take care of that problem.
Thank you for the contact and for the grant. I can certainly look into that.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Nancy Rich. I'm from Food Families and Communities team at the University, Penn State Extension. My main areas are health and wellness and food safety, quality, and food preservation. So Donna mentioned about the LIFT program, which is I'm basically the coordinator for that program here in Cumberland County. And LIFT stands for Lifetime Improvements for Fitness Together. And it's actually a strength training program for mid to older adults to help prevent osteoporosis and impact bone health. And it's been found that it can stave off the effects of osteoporosis in people. It's held right now at the Shepherdtown United Methodist Church. We're on our fourth session that just started on March 11th and goes to May 1st. And I have that being taught by 2 volunteers. And it's an 8-week program. We've had, this is the 4th session, so we've actually had 3 previous sessions. Over those sessions, we've had 76 participants and 582 contacts in the 3 sessions. It's very popular. We started out maybe with only 14 in our first session, which started in August, and we had 21 for this one that just started. So a lot of people are signing up. And we use hand and ankle weights and also stretch bands. And each week we have a lesson that'll either be on nutrition or some health and wellness topic, whether it's sleep or exercise, something like that. So that's probably my main emphasis right now. I used to have more classes running, but unfortunately my instructors have retired. So I'm just down to the 1, but it's very, very popular. During the course of the year, I also did a couple different nutrition programs. I went to West Shore Home in Mechanicsburg. That was on Alzheimer's program. I go to Simpson Library about once a year to their parents and toddlers workshop and have a resource table, and the parents can talk to me about different nutrition topics. That was in November. And then just recently I went to West Penn, which is one of our senior low-income housing units, and spoke about using your food dollars wisely. And that was very well received as well. I also have done several different webinars. As Donna mentioned, a lot of people like to do webinars as opposed to going to in-person training. So I did one on the DASH diet and also Let's Cook Charcuterie. If you are interested in that one, actually, there is one that's
It's very popular.
it
trend
is,
right now.
and if you want to go to one, actually, on April 17th, we're having a Let's Cook Charcuterie class at the winery, which is at Long Shot Farm in Carlisle. I don't know where that is, but I did look, and there's still room for you to register if you want to go to that one. And that's being taught by Sarah Davis and Karen Carrier, which are 2 other educators here in our region. So that one, if you want to go to that one, that's a lot of fun because you'll be making your little charcuterie tray. And I think you're going to get to taste wine over there too. So that's kind of nice. Food safety and quality is another piece of my job. I enjoy this because I am a master food preserver. I went to the training about 6 years ago to be able to do that. Probably my main thing I do in food preservation right now is I test people's pressure gauges to make sure that they're accurate because they need to be tested once a year. So just in the last year, I had 17 people walk in and I tested 21 gauges. And just 2 weeks ago, I had one lady walk in with 6 pressure gauges. I never knew anybody that had 6 pressure canners, but this lady did. And she also had a pressure canner. Yeah, where you're doing like meats and low acid vegetables. And she uses them all apparently. So she had a lot of questions. And I do answer a lot of questions on food safety, food preservation, health and wellness, nutrition topics, either via email, phone calls, or walk-ins. Some other food preservation programs I did. Kings Gap does a Woman in the Wild workshop. I don't know if you've heard of that. So last fall, I went with one of my master food preserver volunteers and we did a program on pickling, which was a lot of fun. And then in the fall, before the market got cold, farmers market on the square, I went over with my resource table and had a lot of our Let's Preserve handouts out there as well for people to take. So that was interesting. I put in your folder a brochure about the LIFT program, about Walk Across Pennsylvania, and then there's another one for building healthy families. And then Finding Fiber and Plant-Based Foods handout that I helped write is in there. It's a more recent publication by Penn State. So we're always working on doing our handouts, and we have peer-reviewed documents now. So this is my latest one. So I worked long and hard on it, so I thought you guys should read it. It took a long time. But I also want to thank you for your continued support of my position. I'm County Dollars. So thank you very much for supporting me in my role.
All right. Yeah. So
Amy Santarelli. I am also with the Food, Families and Communities Unit in Extension. Specifically, I work, I'm a nutrition education advisor for Nutrition Links program. Nutrition Links, so what we do is we take all of our great, the research that is coming, the education that is coming from the university, and then it's our job, we take it out into the community. And specifically, we are, our mission is to provide this nutrition education to food insecure families, not only families, but youth and seniors throughout the county. So I actually cover Adams and Cumberland County are my coverage area. So we talk with families, like I said, families, youth, seniors, how they can enhance their nutrition, how they can stretch their food dollars, right? If they are given with the food resources that they receive, how they can still make healthy options with it. Increase, our hope is to increase that self-sufficiency through the skills that we teach them so that they can better their families. Our program impact, and I'm not sure if this was included, I just printed this off this morning, but I'll give you each a copy. This is our statewide, this is our copy of our impact report, just in the different areas that we see improvement. I should say it's a free class that we offer. It's usually about 6 to 8 week series. Each week we would present a different nutrition topic. If it's in person, I demo a recipe. The recipe ingredients, we focus on nutritious pantry, things they could get at the pantry. And so they get to try it. With a wonderful partnership with New Hope Ministries, actually West Shore, Mechanicsburg, Enola. They want to do a class with them. They provide the participants with the ingredients that I'm for the recipe that I'm demoing that week so that they can take it home and do it for their families like that night, that week. So that has been a wonderful partnership. I've done a Seniors Eating Well series and a Just Say Yes for Seniors series at New Hope as well. I've been in the first quarter also at New Cumberland Middle School, doing an after school program with their life skills kiddos, teaching them some basic cooking skills. So I think that's, let me tell you about the biggest partnership that is upcoming starting in April, actually next week, Tapestry of Health, WIC. I'm starting 2 series with them, in person, actually at the Carlisle WIC office, but then because we see, like we've all been saying, the importance of, because of transportation issues, of also offering our program virtually. So Monday will be an in-person session. Wednesday evenings, I will offer a Zoom series. So yeah. So thank you. Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I will provide you with these just so you can see our statewide impact. Any questions for you? Okay.
Thank you. I think that partnership with New Hope Ministries is fantastic.
It is amazing. Yes, because most times, if we do a presentation, they see the recipe, get the recipe, but they don't go home with the ingredients, so they may not replicate it. But yeah, having the ingredients makes a difference.
I have my phone up here with me because I have the most recent as of today. Yeah, we had happened to have a webinar on biosecurity, and then all this broke out, and so we kind of shifted that webinar to be more about what's going on with avian influenza and dairy cattle. But my name's Samantha Garrett. I'm a dairy business educator. So while I'm on the animal systems team, I kind of have a business side of approach. I do financial analysis for dairy farmers. So we're looking at their cost of production. Another big area that I'm really passionate about is the transition succession planning of our farmers and working them through that. I've worked with several farmers in the county and several around surrounding counties on that transition process. The biggest thing with that is communication between family members, and sometimes that's the biggest holdup on transitioning a farm. So we actually received a grant to offer a new beginning farmer transition meeting. We just held the retreat beginning of March in Lancaster, but we had farmers from all over the state of Pennsylvania. That was a big success. So we're like going for another grant to hopefully offer multiple of these in various different locations, because the feedback on that was that it was really needed. So another part of what I do, which isn't really related to business, is biosecurity. That's another passion of mine. I came from a military family, didn't really want to serve in the military. And so I feel like this is my way of protecting our public. So biosecurity, as you know, is very important on farms. It helps stop the spread of disease. And a big topic that's happening right now, I'm not sure if you've seen it on the media, it's probably going to gain more media in the next coming days, probably weeks, is the avian influenza, which we've heard about it in birds, and we're really concerned about it in the poultry industry. Well, they just announced that there was 4 dairies affected in Texas and Kansas, where not all the cows are coming down with HPAI, but they are starting to show symptoms in dairy cows. They do say that it's not known if that's the only factor affecting this at this point. It's a fluid situation. So I think the USDA is actually going to release something here in the next day or two regarding more of what's going on with the disease spread. So the big thing is it's not impacting the milk. It's impacting the production of the milk, reducing it, but it's not harmful to us because the milk that's involved in, that you go buy in your grocery store is pasteurized, and pasteurization kills the HPAI virus. So that's the biggest takeaway, is it's not harmful to the public right now. Like, that's what they know. So the big thing that you can do is just practice good biosecurity, washing your boots. You don't want to spread it from farm to farm. The USDA has a list of approved disinfectants to use on farms. Managing your access of wild birds on ponds, because the very first case was a baby goat in Minnesota that got it, and they found that it was drinking like pond water that wild geese were at. So that's really the big thing on that.
A lot happening.
It's a lot happening right now.
So this is avian flu,
Mhm.
crossing species.
Crossing species. But
So
they,
how's it different than a bovine flu? It's actually an avian flu.
yeah, that's what they're testing for, that virus, and it's the same exact virus that's affecting the birds. But it doesn't affect bovines as it is affecting the birds. When a bird gets it, it's deadly. Bovines, they seem to recover from it, but it just impacts production, and the cow gets sick.
So what about these areas where non-pasteurized milk is readily available? What do they do?
Yeah, the raw milk. That is still a topic of conversation. I would just tell people to be hesitant about drinking raw milk with that, because you're not going through that pasteurization process, because we just don't know yet.
Nothing's changed in terms of drinking.
Yeah, no, not yet. And a question that was brought up, and we had a state veterinarian there on the call today, was what's if this happens to get on a dairy, what's the state going to do as far as are they going to do similar to what they did in the avian side of things? And they don't know. They don't know yet what they're going to do, because it doesn't affect the dairy cattle as it affects the poultry industry. This just brings up, we are working on trying to get the dairy industry to be more biosecure, creating biosecurity plans. So something that we learned from the poultry industry was creating these movement plans because the state won't let you move product unless you had these plans approved. And with milk, it's different than poultry. You can kind of keep them, you know, even if they're ready, you know, to go to the plant, you can keep them longer, but typically your bulk tank, you don't have enough to hold that milk. And the state doesn't move very fast, so you're gonna have to dump milk. It's really what's gonna happen, which then creates an environmental concern. So if we can get our dairies on board with this biosecurity plan, writing it, getting it approved from the state ahead of time, being proactive versus the reactive side of things. So.
When you said about security, I mean, we had a discussion here a number of years ago in regards to seed banks and whether that was a good idea or a bad idea. I'm not sure we've solved that. Is that still a thing?
You mean seed banks like with seeds or? I'm not too familiar. I know that do you know any much about seeds on the seed side of things
With seed libraries and the legislation?
I believe so.
Okay, so the local seed libraries would be exempt from the Seed Act of 2004. And as long as the or small group that is hosting that seed library would abide by, I believe it's a 2018 document provided by the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture Bureau of Plant Industry that has set out guidelines. So the group is exempt from the packaging and other processes and germination testing required prior to distribution as commercially available seed would be required to do that. But for the seed library, there still are a set of guidelines to abide by. Does that answer your question?
I guess it does. I don't know much about it. But we had a lot of discussion.
Yeah, that was around 2016 or so when, that would, those guidelines and whether or not seed libraries fell under or could be exempt from that Seed Act of 2004. That was around 2016. And the result, I believe, is that as long as they abide by those.
It's brought up to us under the umbrella of food security.
Certainly.
Samantha, how do you get the word out to the farmers now?
Through our extension website, we have a big following. We also partner with a situation like this, the Center for Dairy Excellence, which is funded through the state of Pennsylvania too, but they have a large email list, contact list that we get that out. So as this is ever changing, it's just staying up to speed with what the officials are saying, and making sure our producers are aware of the most recent information.
I think there's, so public safety has briefed us on avian flu now for years, and will continue to do that. And then the Cumberland County Farm Bureau, as well as Representative Gleim, she's done briefings on animals, and she brings in the vet from Penn, who really has good conversations about animals and the transfer of viruses from animal to animal and animal to human. And so anytime that Secretary Redding has been in the room for one of those, I always feel like the PA Department of Ag is really on top of these issues. It is amazing.
Yeah, they really are. And that's one thing we're fortunate with Pennsylvania is we're very proactive in our agriculture related to disease spread. I mean, we are always in contact. Like we have the state vets on call. Like if there's a question, we're very fortunate to have the Department of Ag that we have in our state.
Yes.
And speaking on that, I did want to bring up, we did offer the end of October at Representative Gleim's farm. We had a farm safety event on livestock handling. Back in the end of October, we had a little over 50 first responders. So it was for 4 first responders. So that way they knew how to handle animals if a fire would occur or they would have to go on farm. And that was very successful. We're hoping to offer that again. But that's something I wanted to bring up and say that we're trying to reach the first responder community because, you know, a lot of people don't come from farms anymore. So at least understanding the basic animal behavior, especially of herd animals, totally different from like a dog or a cat, is important. And you also want to make sure you're not walking into a field with a bull. That's another thing too.
We have an animal response team.
Yes, the cart team. Yes,
And
yes.
so that's so great, that you would work with that group.
Yeah, it's fun. I like being involved as much as I can, and we are doing a women in dairy event. So, and it's at the Central Cheese Wedge Shop. So if you guys are around, it's May 6th from 10 to 2. You're more than welcome to join us for lunch. Come for the day. We have Miranda talking about the Google Analytics and how you can utilize that for their business. We have one of the cheese sellers that sells at Stephanie's shop that's going to be there. So that's another event happening here in the near future.
Thanks.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Samantha.
Yeah.
Oh, question. Some of this educational items you mentioned about the workshops and stuff, I think you said they're on. Are they packaged in with the campus? More exposure, or is that handled separately?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
The workshops you mentioned, you said there's some workshops available online. So are they folded into the Penn State World Campus?
No.
Over there. So
World Campus would be for degree seeking.
Yeah.
And when you think of Penn State Extension, if you think of, we're the educational arm that's non-credit.
okay. So even for like certificates.
We do like the pesticide education that you would get your credits for that. And there are some other certificate programs, but it's different from World Campus.
Okay.
Thank you for having us today. And you see, I surround myself with people that know so much more
Smart woman.
about and look forward to, please reach out if you have any questions for all of us or any need for a program or a special meeting.
No beekeeping update?
Oh, I have not checked into the beekeeping. We had a lot of response at our beekeeping workshops last year, and I haven't seen what the results of that are. But maybe we'll see over here at the farmers market. Maybe there'll be more honey.
Donna, I just recently learned in the welcoming, an employee here had a honeybees in a tree. And I happened to have met a beekeeper. So I called the beekeeper and I said, do you want to go get a honeybee? So I think they're trying to work things out to bring him. He was explaining to me what he would do. And hopefully it works out that he can get one more for one more hive.
And you met Lacey at a few weeks ago when we were here for our 4-H proclamation. She gets calls like that, like, hey, I have bees, what do I do? And she knows who to send these calls to. I find her job very frightening. But she does it so much. She knows how to handle all these situations. And I just like,
yeah, if somebody calls me about snakes, I'm not helping. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you
for your time. We really appreciate it.
With Wildwood Lake Nature Guide, you probably gave us, I don't know if that was last time or time before, it's still on top of my desk. That's love it. Of course, there's a lot of stuff on the top.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Is there any other business to come before the board?
Yes.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.
Thank you.